cybersecurity roles are becoming some of the most stable and highest paying positions in tech. But the reason is not just growth. It is the pressure created when systems cannot afford to fail. As systems become more connected, more distributed, and more critical to daily operations, the cost of failure increases. And when the cost of failure increases, security becomes a priority rather than an option. In the next few minutes, I'll break down why cybersecurity demand keeps increasing, where the highest paying roles are emerging, and what actually determines who moves into these positions. Now, salary breakdown. Cybersecurity roles can reach well above $150,000, with many specialized positions exceeding $200,000 depending on experience and domain. But these salaries are not evenly distributed. They concentrate in areas where systems are critical, exposed, or difficult to secure. This creates a structure where a smaller group of engineers handles the highest risk environments and receives higher compensation as a result. And this difference is not random. It is tied to exposure and responsibility. And this is directly connected to how risk is experienced in these systems. Another factor influencing these salaries is the visibility of risk. In many cases, security issues are not noticeable until something fails. But when failures happen, the impact is immediate and often widespread. This creates a different type of pressure compared to other roles, and roles that operate under higher pressure tend to be valued differently. Now, market demand. Demand for cybersecurity is increasing across nearly every industry. As organizations rely more on digital systems, the number of potential vulnerabilities grows. This is where things begin to intensify. Security is no longer limited to protecting systems. It is about maintaining trust, continuity, and operational stability. Companies are not just hiring to prevent attacks. They are hiring to ensure that systems continue functioning under pressure. And this is where the structure of demand changes. Security becomes embedded into every layer of the system. And this shift does not stop at hiring. This also changes how organizations prioritize investment. Instead of treating security as a secondary concern, many companies are integrating it directly into system design. Security is no longer added after systems are built. It is considered from the beginning. And this increases the importance of engineers who can think in terms of prevention rather than reaction. Now, skill concentration. One of the main reasons cybersecurity roles pay more is the depth of knowledge required. It is not enough to understand how systems work. You also need to understand how they fail. This includes knowledge of networks, infrastructure, system architecture, and potential attack vectors. This combination is not common, and this is what creates scarcity. Many engineers can build systems. Fewer can protect them under real conditions, and this is where most people underestimate the barrier. Now, competition level. Even as more developers enter the industry, the number of engineers with strong security expertise remains limited. This creates a gap between general development and specialized security roles, and this gap is widening. As systems become more complex, the demand for security grows faster than the supply of qualified engineers. At the same time, not all experience translates directly into this space. Engineers focused only on application-level work may find it harder to move into security roles, because the focus shifts from building features to understanding risk. And this is what makes entry more selective. And this gap is not only technical. At the same time, security work often requires a different mindset. It is not only about building systems that work, it is about identifying how systems can fail under unexpected conditions. This way of thinking is less common among general developers, and this creates another layer of scarcity. Now, entry reality. For engineers trying to move into cybersecurity, the path is often indirect. Many start in back-end, infrastructure, or network-related roles before transitioning into security. This makes positioning critical. Those who build adjacent knowledge gradually tend to move more effectively than those who attempt to enter directly. Now, long-term outlook. Over time, cybersecurity becomes more central to how systems operate. As dependencies increase and systems become more interconnected, the impact of failure expands. This changes how organizations allocate resources. Security is no longer a supporting function. It becomes part of the core system. And engineers working in these areas are positioned closer to that core, which means their role is not just protective, but foundational to how systems continue to function. Now, positioning strategy. Engineers who move into cybersecurity tend to focus on understanding systems at multiple levels. They learn how data flows, how infrastructure is structured, and where vulnerabilities tend to emerge. They shift from building functionality to analyzing and reinforcing system integrity. This perspective changes how their work is valued, and that shift often translates into higher compensation. Now, risk and resilience. One of the risks in this space is focusing too narrowly on specific tools or certifications. Tools change, and threats evolve, but the underlying principles of system security remain more stable. Engineers who focus on understanding systems tend to adapt more effectively over time. Now, final verdict. Cybersecurity is not just a growing field, it is a structural necessity. As systems become more critical, the cost of failing to protect them increases, and that creates a category of roles where fewer engineers operate, but where the impact and compensation continues to rise.